Hello, everybody. I'm going to give people a few seconds to pop on, and we are going to talk book marketing. So let me make sure we shared. Yeah, there we go. Hey, D. Wright PR. How are you? Okay, SZPP. I have no idea what your name is, but welcome to Periscope. Welcome to the first day. Hey, it's good to see you. We are talking books. So while we wait, happy Tuesday indeed. Where are you periscoping in from? I always like to see where everybody is and to see how they're doing. So if you could just let me know where you are, that would be awesome. I have had, Cleveland. Oh, good. I'm going to be in Cleveland in 3 weeks. I think it's either the end of October. Oh, hey, Detective Anderson from Birmingham. I think it's either the end of October or the beginning of November. I'm not really sure. So, but we're talking books today, and I do these things called accelerated sessions where it's just like 3 hours of putting together your marketing and media plan for your book. And so I was doing one with a client. His book went live on Amazon today. And so he was like, just give me some crazy stuff. He's like, the crazier the better. And I was like, okay. So I put together a list of things, and these aren't all of them, but I have like a list of kind of like guerrilla marketing tactics. Hey, Brenda, for your book. And so I just wanted to share a little of them. And I also wanted to let you know that I'm doing a free webinar on the steps, the 10 steps that you need to take in order to become a best-selling author. And that is Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. It's this Thursday. I'm pretty sure it's 8 p.m. Central, but I put the link in the post, but it's bit.ly/bestseller 2018. So it is like the 10 steps that I walk all of my clients through, and I've taken all of my books through, and every single book that I've either spearheaded the collaboration or have written myself has become a bestseller. And my company alone, we did the numbers because I was saying that we had created 300 best-selling authors either through a collaboration or through one-on-one coaching, or if they've taken an online program. And actually it's closer to 500, so that was awesome. So I just want to take you through a couple of the marketing steps. So yeah, thanks for the hearts. If you guys want to give some hearts, that's awesome. And if you want to share, that would be great too. Thank you, Brenda. So you shared before I even asked you to share. Thank you for inviting your followers. I appreciate it. So one of the things, and he's a little off, he's a little out of the box. So not all of these are going to work for everybody, but for him, it was a really cool one. I always say that, weird for the sake of weird is just weird, but it gets attention. And so if you go on like the sites like Fiverr and some of those other freelancing sites, there are people that will do things. Oh, thanks, Brenda. There are people that will do things in order to bring attention to whatever it is that you're promoting that may seem weird. So whether it's like tattooing the name of the book on their stomach or writing it on their forehead and doing a YouTube video, a lot of people have visibility, and so they leverage that by helping other people market their products. So now you want to be careful with this, obviously. You want to make sure that it kind of is in line with the theme of the book or your personality. You don't want to be like a Christian fiction writer and then, well, not even Christian fiction, but Christian nonfiction maybe, and then have somebody show up with the name of your book on their stomach. I mean, that may not work as well. But if you're looking for different ways to market, Fiverr is a great place where you can find, people willing to do things for as little as $15. And so that's pretty awesome. And weird, like I said, weird can work, but it definitely, you need to have a reason behind it. Another thing I think that's interesting is there's so many people that you can hire now to market. And this is kind of just a word of advice too. There's so many different people that you can hire to market your book, or you can hire to help you with media, that you just kind of want to be careful. I think there's absolutely a place for you to get professional guidance if you're not, in this lane. I think you should always hire people that have skills you may not necessarily have. Just like people hire you for skills you have that they don't necessarily have, but you really should ask for recommendations. So marketing can go really wrong if you have somebody that really doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're kind of like specialized in a certain lane, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the lane that you're in. Sometimes people have had success, but they really don't know how to teach other people to have the same success. So you want to make sure that you have the right expert. I want to say that too. And so when you think about marketing, you're thinking about getting visibility, you definitely want to make sure that you have developed your platform. But you want to think quality versus quantity. So I've had clients that, they just want to buy a bunch of followers. They want to pay for a bunch of likes. And even though that may look good on paper, it really does not convert to sales, because you're buying people that don't really care about you or what you're doing. They're not invested in your service, your product, or your book at all. And so what you do is you have a bunch of followers with no engagement. And even when I was in radio and we were looking to book experts, that's the first thing we would check. We would check not only like what's your, the size of your platform, but we also wanted to see the level of engagement. So if you have, and this is just an example, if you have 100,000 followers, right? But if you post something and you only get like 2 likes, then chances are you bought a lot of those followers because nobody is engaged in what you're doing, just like your real friends. Nobody else is engaged in what you're doing, and that's like the first sign that your platform really isn't going to convert, not just for you, but for people that may want to put you on their television show, or they may want to book you for a speaking engagement. They look at that because that means that if you share about the event or you share about the interview, that likely people aren't going to show up because you posted, because they're not engaged in what you're doing. So you definitely want to spend the time before you actually publish a book, before you actually launch a program, before you actually start some online training. You want to take time to make sure that your audience and your platform is engaged so that you can convert them to clients, to readers, to people who are actually purchasing what it is you're doing, because you've spent so much time pouring into them and giving value. And that's a whole nother training. But I think it's worth it for you to know that you don't want to pay for likes and pay for followers, because it's just an expense and it's not going to convert to revenue. And on some social media platforms, if you buy a lot of followers, you could get your account suspended. So you want to be careful of that. You want to definitely build your platform organically. The other thing that I talk a lot about is promotional items. Like I thought, I look at my watch, I thought it said it was 8:32, and it scared me because I have some, okay. Anyway, when it comes to promotional items, you want to make sure that you're giving things to people that they actually want. So, a lot of times, people will get t-shirts and they'll get this and they'll get that. And while that's fine, and while I think people love things that are free, you want something that's really going to make them excited, that may be different than what everybody else is doing. And also something that's going to tie in, hopefully, with what the book is. So I can't remember the name of the author, but she was a romance writer, and she had this contest, and if you entered, you won this. It was this gorgeous, like, chocolate something, and it made such an impression on me. And I didn't even really like the author like that, but I actually bought the book because the giveaway just made such an impression on me. So you want to make sure that you're doing a giveaway that gets your audience excited, and also goes after the audience that's going to buy the book, because ultimately all of these things that we're talking about is to get people to buy the book. So you definitely want to do that. So definitely, the organic way to build, but a targeted way to build too. So if you're a African-American romance writer, white males may not be your target audience. I'm guessing 9 times out of 10 they're not. And that doesn't mean you won't get white male readers. But what it means is that in all of your promotions, you should think of who the audience is. And for most African-American romance writers, that is the African-American female. So you want to make sure, that. And like if you're a kid, if you're writing children's fiction or young adult, you want to make sure that what you're giving away is targeted for them, and in their age group, and is going to excite them, and not just buy a t-shirt because everybody else is buying t-shirts. That doesn't necessarily work. Another thing is to think outside of the bookstore. So there are lots of ways to market your book that don't have anything to do with a bookstore. And I read this when I was doing some research on this guerrilla marketing. I'd never heard of this, but I read it. There was an author who wrote his first book, and he did his first reading in the bathroom of a train station because there were some pivotal events that happened in the bathroom of a train station. Now, he didn't get as many people, I don't think, to show up as he wanted. They kind of mentioned that in the article. But the video of him doing the reading in the bathroom went viral. And so he got a lot of people to buy the book that didn't even attend the reading just because they thought it was so cool. So now, like I said, you don't want to do something that doesn't have anything to do with your book. But you can think of, definitely like in grocery stores, sometimes they'll let you, especially if it's a local grocery store, and you're a local author, they'll let you put, brochures and stuff. Think of libraries. A lot of times they'll let you put brochures. I mean, in other places, any kind of local store, normally they're pretty good about, supporting local authors. So you definitely want to consider that as well. But just like think outside of the bookstore and some other places and some other things that you can do that would attract interest. Giving your book away. So some people don't like when I say this. But you do have to give copies of your book away. I mean, you want to give them to the right person. You want to make sure that you're reaching influencers who might actually, write a review or, share it with people. I was thrilled. I don't know if you guys know who Bob Berg is, but he's like this phenomenal author in like the leadership and sales space. And he wrote a phenomenal book called Go Giver. And I talk about Go Giver all the time because it really had an impact on the way I conduct business. And he has there's Go Giver for leaders. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 books, well, 3 that I know of in this series. And so, and I started following him on Twitter, and so now we've developed this kind of, Twitter relationship, I guess, friendship. I shouldn't say relationship, friendship. And, he's just phenomenal. And so he sent me a message today, and he wanted to know if I would review a copy of his next upcoming book. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Of course. And so he's doing that. He's reaching out and he's giving away copies of his books to people that he sees as influential, in order to read it and then, hopefully endorse the book. And I mean, already I know I'm going to endorse it because I endorse I talk about the other books all the time. So you want to make sure that you're giving them to the right people. You want to make sure, so influencer is a big one. Endorsements, you want reviews. Hey, John Wyckoff. Welcome to Periscope, your first day. But you also want to give some to the media. So the media are going to ask for advanced copies as well. And a lot of time publishing houses will do this, but if you are a self-published author, then this is going to be on you. To send. And as a self-published author, I would recommend, because sometimes publishing companies will just send to media outlets that they know have a wide reach, whether the media outlet has asked for the book or the media outlet has said they'll do the interview. Now, as a self-published author, you might want to be more cognizant of who you're selling the book to. So I would reach out and ask for the interview, ask if they're interested in the interview, if they would consider the interview, and if that's a yes, then I would send them the book. But I wouldn't just go start sending copies to everybody. Not everybody is going to read the book. Not everybody's going to review it. Not everybody's going to endorse it. Not everybody's going to give you an interview. But that's the risk that you take. And you have to kind of be proactive about that. But as a self-published author, when you buy your own book, like say you're on CreateSpace, and you may sell the book for like $19.99, what you actually pay for the book is a lot less. So, around the $3 range, depending on how long the book is, how many pages are in it. So you're not going to be paying as much, but you're definitely going to have to eat some of that cost, in order to do that. So, the other things that you can do real quick is you can just offer to speak at in local organizations, depending on what the topic of your book is. If it's a nonfiction and it's around your expertise, find different organizations that are looking for speakers, and maybe in exchange for your fee, you can ask that you sell your book, or you can ask them to buy a certain number of copies for the organization in order to offset your fee at a discounted price. Not what you paid for it, but less than what they might pay for at retail. You can sponsor some community events, and by being a sponsor, maybe be able to sell your book there as well, but also be able to get the name out through the sponsorship. Host a monthly reading group. As much as I like to read, and I've been to like book clubs before, but I've never been a part of a formal book club, and I just joined one, so I'm really excited about that. But it's a great way as an author for you to get your word out, your name out there. And so I know for me, when book clubs read my book, if it's not closed, if it's not like in the area, then I'll Skype in during their meeting and we can talk about the book. I've done that tons of times. And the great thing about book clubs is that when they choose your book, they have to buy the book to read it. So it really is good, a good look for you to do that and to really promote to book clubs. You can find a lot of them online, and do that. Host a reading circle or a writer's workshop to get people in there. Think of doing like a regional book tour, where you go to, maybe churches or community events, or, nothing that you have to, I'm not saying throw a conference, but definitely find different ways to get the word out there. And then the other thing is, theme parties. So like one of the things that I did when I first released my book, which is a novel, it's a romance suspense novel, and it was set in Chicago and it was set in Jamaica, and I would do like book parties, and I would go to different book clubs, and I would have my friends host book parties, and I would come to them, and I would always bring like Jamaican food and food known for Chicago, and just do little things like that to make it more interesting. So you can do that as well. So those are just a few of some really interesting things that you can do. Unfortunately, the days of just being able to write and sit in your room and not have to talk to anybody about it, those are gone. Like when I first published my book, my first one like 15 years ago, like the publishing company did everything. Like I had a platform and I still used it, but for the most part, the publishing company organized a lot of it. Those days are over. So if you are an author, you really have got to put your plan together in order to get your book out there. So like I said, I'm giving a free workshop. If you guys, it's a webinar. If you guys are interested in coming, you definitely should register. There's limited space available, and I'm pretty sure it's almost filled up since it's this Thursday. And the website for that is bit.ly. Let me double check. Bit.ly. I wrote some notes, /bestseller 2018. It's in the post, bit.ly /bestseller 2018. And you can definitely join, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and we do free giveaways. So it's a party. So thank you guys. I appreciate you logging on and supporting this Periscope. I have 2 other meetings tonight, and then I am done for the day, but I hadn't been on in a few days because I'd been traveling. I was in Chicago for a conference. And just life goes on and on and on. So I definitely wanted to pop on and say hi. And I will talk to you later. You guys have a great day. Thank you.